At the NBA trade deadline, the Bulls made a huge, and most would say a surprising move in making a trade for the Orlando Magic star big man Nikola Vucevic. Now, Vucevic is an all-star, having one of the best seasons of his career. The Magic weren't going to just let him go for nothing. No, they wanted a substantial haul for him in return that would allow them to rebuild, and as a result, the Bulls traded their starting center in Wendell Carter Jr. Well, I guess I should say their backup center, since he was coming off the bench when the Bulls traded for him. They also traded Otto Porter, really just to make the money work with Vucevic's contract, and 2 first-round picks, one in this upcoming draft and the other in 2023. Now, you might be thinking, that seems like a lot for a guy who, although is an all-star, is 30 years old, and it's not like the Bulls are in contend now or win now mode. Why bring in someone later on in their career unless you're looking to win now? Well, it's a fair point, and although Vucevic, because of his size and his game, I think he likely has at least 3 to 4 good years ahead of him. But the first round picks that the Bulls traded to the Magic are top 4 protected, meaning in the event that they get lucky in the draft lottery and their pick falls anywhere in the top 4, they get to keep said pick and not send it to the Magic, and then the Magic will have to wait until next year's draft to get that pick. Now, the odds aren't good for the Bulls to keep that, given how many games that they won throughout the season and where they finished in the standings. However, what would happen if the Bulls, on January 22nd, what would happen if the ping pong balls fall into place, the stars align, and the Bulls end up with a top 4 pick, dare I say it, a number 1 pick? And that's what I want to talk about in this video. So what's going on, everyone? You are listening to Bull Central here. Hope you're all doing well. Guys, it was a tough pill to swallow seeing the Bulls miss the playoffs yet again, especially after making a big splash at the trade deadline in bringing in another all-star. And to make matters worse, the Bulls traded their upcoming first-round pick to get said all-star. But what would make it all that much more worth it and ease our pain as Bulls fans for this disappointing season is if the Bulls were somehow able to keep their pick and add another up-and-coming young piece to an already talented roster. Now, before I get into the selections on who the Bulls should take if they were to fall in any one of picks number 1 through number 4, let me start with the practicality of the Bulls actually falling into the top 4. In other words, what are their chances of this actually happening? Well, like I mentioned, they're not that great. The Bulls have a 20.3% chance of landing in the top 4, an 80% chance of sending that pick to the Magic, most likely somewhere in the 10 to 12 range. The Bulls have a 5.7% chance of getting the number 4 pick, a 5.2% chance getting the number 3, 4.8 for the number 2, and finally, the Bulls have a slight chance of 4.5% of landing that coveted number 1 pick. The good thing about the NBA draft lottery, if you finish with a slightly better record than you used to anyway, is that your odds are actually better than what they were before 2019. And the NBA changed the draft lottery odds at that time to disincentivize teams from tanking. So if this was 3 years ago, the Bulls would have an even lower chance of landing in the top 4, and the worst teams would have the higher odds than what they do today. So a 20% chance of getting a top 4 pick. And guys, I know some of you are probably thinking this is pointless. Why are we even speculating on something that likely isn't going to happen? Well, it's the off season and there isn't going to be much to discuss when it comes to the Bulls since they didn't make the postseason. And for Bulls fans outside of free agency, which won't come until August, this is the only thing we have to look forward to, sadly. So yes, I get it. It's unlikely and it's speculation, but that kind of thing is done in sports all the time. Now, I'm sure some of you have seen the NBA draft lottery simulators that they have online. They basically run a quick draft lottery based on the actual odds for each team. And guys, I kid you not, the first time I ran it on tankathon.com, I got this result. And that's what got me thinking to do this video on what if this happened for the Bulls in this scenario. So in this instance, the Bulls jumped up 9 spots since they're likely projected to fall 10th, which would go to the Magic if it does. But when hitting the simulator, the Bulls ended up with the number 1 pick, and I think it's almost a foregone conclusion at this point that Cade Cunningham will be selected with the number 1 pick for whichever team wins the lottery. Because not only is Cunningham, he's the best player in the draft, but he is anticipated to be a generational talent type player, a future face of a franchise, a guy that you can build your team around given how versatile a player he is. A 6'7" point guard that can score, has great court vision with passing and playmaking. He can defend decently well on the perimeter. He can shoot from outside, but can also slash to the hoop. The guy has all of the tools to be a phenomenal player in the NBA. Now, granted, I hit the simulator multiple times after that. I think it was around 10 times or so, and the Bulls never landed in the top 4. So take this with a grain of salt. But in this instance, the very first time that I did it, they did land with the number 1 pick. So before I get into the what if scenarios for the Bulls on the other picks, I do want to mention first how, if the Bulls got to actually land the number 1 pick with that 4.5% chance, how that would change everything for this franchise and the trajectory that they're on. And I know that's a pretty bold statement, but hear me out on this one. If the Bulls were to get the number 1 pick, I mean, not only do they actually get to keep their pick, which they thought they were going to be handing over to the Magic, but they would get the number 1 pick that they would most certainly use on Cunningham. You now have a true playmaking point guard who, although is young and will likely need some time to develop, is expected to be an impactful NBA player right away. So a 19-year-old point guard, again, a position the Bulls are in need of. You then have Patrick Williams, who will be 20 starting next season and hopefully having a strong offseason with a full summer league and training camp. And of course you have Zach Lavine and Nikola Vucevic, the Bulls' 2 All-Stars. Obviously Markkanen is still a question mark at this point, and by drafting Cade Cunningham, that opens up questions around the future of Coby White. Now, a lot of people have been saying, well, why can't we just start Coby at the 2 and have Lavine play the 3, since Coby is in fact a better shooting guard anyway and is much more effective playing off the ball. And you're not wrong, he is a better player playing off the ball and as a shooting guard, but that also means you have to sacrifice your best player in having him play out of position when he is so much more effective in playing as a shooting guard. So in this instance, you either have Coby starting to come off the bench again as a combo guard backing up Cunningham and Lavine, or because Coby, although he handled getting benched well, it wasn't really a great for his development overall, and he struggled as a result coming off the bench. Then maybe you look to trade Coby to get another piece that fits that roster, or even package Coby in a sign and trade deal to also include Lauri Markkanen for a player that is potentially better defensively, maybe someone like John Collins. Either way, if the Bulls were somehow lucky enough to get a guy like Cunningham, who could honestly start breaking out into an all-star in 3 years' time, it would be also having the number 1 pick. Now, without dragging this video on too long to where I discuss who the Bulls should take if they land the number 2, 3, or 4 pick, which is a higher likelihood of it happening than getting the number 1 pick, obviously, although still not great odds. But if the Bulls were to fall in the 2 to 4 range, I personally don't think they should keep it, unless the Bulls get the number 1 pick, because it will result in Cade Cunningham. Anything outside of that, they should look to try and trade. And I know some fans are not going to like to hear that, because some of these guys who are projected to go at the top of the draft, guys like Suggs, Mobley, Green, I think that they're going to be very fine players in this league. They are incredibly talented and gifted athletes, but the fact of the matter is they're going to need time to develop, just like is the case with most rookies. And the Bulls, quite frankly, don't have time to wait for young prospects to arrive to their potential. That all changed when the Bulls traded for Vucevic. Vuce is 30, Lavine is 26. You want to maximize their prime as much as you can without wasting too many seasons trying to develop some of the younger players. So unless you're getting Cunningham just because he's going to be a generational talent, you trade that pick if you're able to keep it, because you actually get a decent piece in return for a pick that is going to be that high. You trade it to a team that is looking for a bright young piece that maybe has some older, not old, but older players who are more established and have proven to be valuable and would be valuable to the Bulls. Like, could you swing a trade with the Kings for De'Aaron Fox if it meant including a package of the number 2 pick, Coby White, and even in a sign-and trade for Lauri Markkanen? I mean, the Bulls would have to go into the luxury tax most likely to do so to get this to work, given De'Aaron Fox's contract. And the Kings, you just never really know what they're going to do with their team. I mean, they may look for something like that, right? For a high draft pick and some other young assets. Could you imagine, though, De'Aaron Fox, Zach Lavine, and Nikola Vucevic? That trio would be deadly on offense. Bulls would still need to figure out their defensive woes, but hopefully that could be resolved in free agency. Or say another option is the Raptors, who are already going into rebuild mode. Would they want a number 2 or a number 3 pick in a package from the Bulls to include, say, Pascal Siakam? Or what about the Cavs, who are just, they've got all these guards that they don't know what to do with. Do they want to commit to Collin Sexton long term, or maybe just cut the cord now and the Bulls trade their top 4 pick to the Cavs to bring in a guy like Sexton? Or maybe the Pacers, after having a disappointing season, they finally decide, you know what, we're going to trade Miles Turner, a great defensive player, and you could put alongside Vucevic at the 4 as his primary rim protector. Would the Pacers be interested in a top pick for someone like Turner? Although I think a top lottery pick is more valuable than Miles Turner at this point, and the Pacers would likely have to throw in another piece to the Bulls to actually make it worth it. Anyway, the possibilities are endless when it comes to talking about, you know, trade ideas and what you could trade top picks for. But the point is, for the Bulls to land in the top 4 and to be able to keep their pick would be huge for the franchise and getting this team on a fast path to contention, whether that be getting Cade Cunningham with the number 1 pick or trading the pick if it falls 2 through 4 for a complementary piece on the roster, which even further sets them up for success when hitting free agency for this season and beyond. I want to know what you guys think, though. If the Bulls land in the top 4 of the draft, what do you think they should do with the pick? Keep it, trade it? Let me know in the comments. And guys, as always, be sure to subscribe if you're a Bulls fan, as I post daily Bulls content. Thanks again for tuning in, and I will catch you guys in the next one.